Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
What is the Carbon Trust? We are a private company. We're a not-for-dividend company, or a non-profit in US jargon, which means that we are driven by our mission. Our mission is all that we do.
So, the waste standard was introduced at the end of last year. Looking for those reduction opportunities is, I suppose, about a mindset. It's about getting people to think differently about their waste and to think, frankly, about ways of eliminating it, stopping it from arising in the first place. Those who get through it and get the certification can then use this certification and the logo that goes with it on the left-hand side to demonstrate a portion of their environmental credentials. And coupled with carbon and water, hopefully these become the three pillars then of sustainability.
Carbon Trust has the privilege of leading with a number of key organisations in this sector that are now working at a global level to measure, manage and report their resource use and resource reductions on a global level. So, for example, we've worked with GSK, Pearson, Stagecoach, Bupa to certify their emissions and their resources globally and to make sure that those issues are being managed right across the value chain. And Marks & Spencer, of course, has been one of the leaders in this sector. And the reason they're here today is, from our point of view, being the first retailer to achieve all three Carbon Trust standards across these three resource groups is a fantastic opportunity. And Roland Hill is the Head of Sustainable Development for Marks & Spencer, and I'm delighted that he's here today to talk a little bit about Marks & Spencer's experience in this area.
So, triple certification. The attraction, we did do the Carbon Trust standard, I have to say, when it first came out in, was it 2008, 2007. The attraction this year was to get all three and be the first retailer to get all three. I think the energy one is quite straightforward. We would pass that. In fact, did pass that on either of the measures, which is an absolute reduction or a relative figure, and actually you could pick any number of relative figures, and we were there. Water equally we passed. Water is more challenging for our sector because what you find is the reason we'd made the reductions was because we found a number of leakages, and though fixing those leakages made a huge difference. Waste, I think, is an interesting one, and I think the most challenging one. And the reason for that, if you take energy, although our energy team will say they're not in charge of the whole, so they can't, they don't have no management control over what hours we operate and how high the heating's turned up and how many spotlights there are, which is true. They can mitigate all of that. On waste, the team that manage waste can't. All they can do is collect it all up and send it somewhere. One of the issues we've got, so retail waste is basically made up of two things, which is, which is either date expired food or transit packaging. Transit packaging you can reduce by putting it in reusable packs, but there is an optimum level to that, and the optimum level is that if that transit packaging, if that reusable transit packaging sits around too long, using up those resources, needs more energy and water to service it than you would save just by using cardboard. It's actually not worth it. You might as well just use the cardboard. So there are, when you come down to waste, that there are complexities to it sometimes whereby reduction isn't the right environmental option. Equally, the other amount that we generate, which is food waste, is a consequence of commercial decisions we choose to take in terms of merchandising. So in terms of getting the waste standard, there were three options for that, which was an absolute reduction, and we have done reductions, but they were outside the timeline for the certification. There were a relative reduction, and that was the same. And then the third one was a hierarchy improvement, which is not sending it to landfill and sending it to something constructive. And that was what we got the certification on.
And finally, organisations are then using those credentials, using those certification marks to demonstrate to stakeholders, both within the supply chain and beyond, all the way up to a political level, in representing their organisation to governments and talking to investors, that they are efficient in these resource areas. And from our point of view, what's really, really important here is that organisations then are being seen to be taking control of their use of these resources and delivering the benefits both to staff and to shareholders and to communities of getting those resources under control and improving their responsibility in managing them.